Scene intro, take two, roll one. So you've seen The Incredibles, right? Look, I know you want me to explain all this and well, there's a mic and why my laptop is even here, but look, let's not even waste time because it's just gonna end up making a lot video than it needs to be. And really and truly, this can be explained in another video at another time, at another day. Let's talk about The Incredibles and why I think Syndrome in some way, just some way, shape or form might have actually been right. Like again, you've seen The Incredibles, right? You know, the movie about the superheroes who essentially get banned from being allowed to use their superpowers. Mr. Incredible and Frozone being really upset by the fact that they can no longer be heroes, decide to do it undercover because of the fact that they have to get regular jobs. And then at some point, you know, heroes start disappearing, and then all of a sudden Mr. Incredible gets invited out to this island by Syndrome to fight against a robot. He beats it, gets invited out a second time, gets invited to have some dinner, but actually, oh wait, it's a trap. And then he has to fight a stronger robot that was stronger than the last, which is basically what his whole Project KRONOS is about. And then his family end up trying to come save him. They all get caught. He thinks that his family dies. They actually didn't. He ends up learning about Project KRONOS, and then like it basically ends up in Syndrome being dead and like happily ever after for the family. But like, you know this, okay? The reason why I said that all that really fast is because you know this. We should know this, okay? And the only reason we know this is because if you don't know any of that, then you either didn't have a childhood or you're too young to be watching this video, because how the heck do you not know The Incredibles? But look, leave that all aside. In some way, just some way, shape or form, Syndrome might have been right. And like again, like I know it seems crazy to say, but like Syndrome just in a small way might have been right. And here's the thing, if you don't know The Incredibles, then you might have seen that one Incredibles meme. You know, I'll probably be showing it now as I'm speaking about it, but the one where Mr. Incredible is on Syndrome's laptop, and then he types in the password being Project KRONOS, and then he has that one scene where he's seeing all the superheroes die to different robots. You've at least seen the meme, right? Okay, that's fine, okay? Like, at the very least, having seen the meme is okay. But like, you get the point. Like, we've at least seen somewhat of The Incredibles. Now, like again, with Project KRONOS, Syndrome was essentially trying to have the superheroes be wiped out. Now, this is because when Syndrome was younger, Mr. Incredible basically rejected him as a sidekick. This really hurt his ego, and basically he now went from loving Mr. Incredible to hating heroes on a whole. But like, here's the thing, and this is where it gets a bit wicked with the Project KRONOS. See, this very plot that I just kind of explained to you, Syndrome did with the other superheroes. That's how they went missing. Syndrome was inviting them out, and any of them who did beat the robot first time would get re-invited, asked out for a dinner, when in actuality, it would just be a trap to get them to fight another robot. Like, this is the whole Syndrome loop that Syndrome's been doing. And like again, as much as I'm not trying to agree to the idea of murdering another human being, because like again, that's kind of far. For some of these superheroes, I feel like some of them had it coming to them. See, with The Incredibles, there's this thing called the TSA files. And the TSA files essentially are files within each of the superheroes, not only from the ones that Syndrome killed, but also from the ones that have also just in general either died in other forms of battle due to suit malfunctions, which if you know the movie you can probably understand why, or just died in battle, or are even still alive. Like there's one of Mr. Incredible and Frozone. It's when we actually look at these TSA files where I think Syndrome just might have been onto something. This idea that just because you're a superhero you're automatically a good person is kind of dangerous, because like, I should ask you the question, do you think that just because someone is given the title a superhero, it automatically makes them a good person? Now, the obvious answer should be no, okay? I think with many forms of media nowadays, like within many shows, we've seen where many cases, whether it be shows, games, or whatever it is, we've seen many cases where superheroes have ended up actually also becoming bad people or committing heinous acts. And not even just in the sense of it's a difficult decision to make and they had to make it, like someone would have to lose their life if it meant that they were saving 10 lives. We're talking like, oh no, these guys are genuinely just bad people. But because they got superpowers, they're left to protect the world that we care oh so much about. So, Your Honor, what I will do is I will present to you 4 different cases I'll present to you 4 different cases of superheroes that could help possibly explain my point. And like I say again, I don't think Syndrome was right to the point of killing them, but I think he definitely may have been onto something. Now here's the thing, we're obviously going to look at some of the interviews, and we're going to end up, hopefully the interviews, as well as some of the things I just tell you anyway, will help give a guide into why I think these guys are, I don't know, just not so great people, and why Syndrome just maybe might have been right. So let's start off with Blazing Stone, right? Okay, let me just play you Blazing Stone's interview.
I am very independent. I don't need helicopters. I don't need airplanes. I can heat the air underneath me and lift right up, and I don't have equipment. The flames come straight out of me. What a waste. Some superheroes have equipment, and I think that's just a waste. You have to maintain it all the time. I just have my super suit, and that's about it. I like my independence. The NSA knows that I'm very independent, and, a team, surrounding, they do look after me, and which is good and everything. They always have to keep an eye on me. I don't know why. I only light a couple of things on fire that I shouldn't light on fire. It's not my fault. It is very hard to, keep everything under wraps. Sometimes my temper, I can get a little bit hot-headed, but not much. When I think about things that kind of anger me just a little bit, then boom, the building lights on fire, and then next thing you know it, the hills light on fire, and then Frozone has to come along and cool everything down, and then I have to be grateful and say, oh, thank you, Frozone, I really appreciate it. But he's really annoying. He thinks he's all that, and I do enjoy being independent. They recognize that, and I love my powers, and I don't have to carry any equipment on me, and I really enjoy that.
Okay, now, again, I think my point I'm trying to get across to you is just how terrible these so-called superheroes are. We're starting off pretty tame with Blazing Stone, okay? And some of the things that you can notice from her file is that she's been arrested and jailed, and she has to be monitored by the NSA. And the very people who hired her, the NSA, have to make sure that she actually acts within the NSA guideline. And for anyone asking, yes, that is the chick talking on regular talking speed. I didn't speed that interview up. I'm not gonna speed any of these up. That shorty genuinely just talks that fast. I don't know why. But and here's the thing, you could make the debate that, say the NSA have maybe some strict guidelines. Sure, you could make that point, and I'll allow you to make that point for the time being, because trust me, where we're gonna end up, I think you might realize it might not exactly be the fault of the NSA, and more so by the heroes who are working for the NSA. Again, Blazing Stone, pretty tame. She has to be monitored, she's been arrested and jailed, and they have to make sure that she's actually operating within NSA guidelines. Pretty tame if you ask me. But let's go on to the next one, who is Hypershock. And maybe this is a bit of a ramp up from the last one. So let's just play Hypershock's interview now then.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Hypershock. So I have seismic wave generation, which is the ability to create earthquake-like disruptions in the ground to stop the bad guys with my dual seismic amplification hammers, and one on each hand. No, I did not buy them at the hardware store, haha. Fly around with my vector thrust fusion rocket rucksack getting from place to place, and my powers are effectual and non-solid materials, but if I can get a 6.0 on the Richter scale, I can generally stop whoever's out there, and... we gotta talk about this. Hang on. Hey, Irv. Hey. Where's Irv? Coffee. Yes, hello. I need some coffee. Very nice. No, I don't want tea. I want coffee, and put some aspirin in it or something. How about coffee made from aspirin? You people, you just don't do your homework. And look at this. What is this? Cheap. Spend a little money on your gear if you're going to have a super in here, okay? And you, who are you? I could be out solving crime at the very least. We're solving this hangover. Ow! Oh.
In his personality, there's literally 2 lines of text which say, bad temper requires lots of praise, fondness for drink. And from listening to the interview, I think you very quickly come to understand that his quote-unquote fondness for drink simply just means he's a raging alcoholic. I'm bro, yeah, he hasn't been arrested or jailed like Blazing Stone, but okay, we're talking about a superhero, people are supposed to save lives, basically a loose cannon at this point. All it takes is this guy to have one bad hangover and he's probably gonna end up committing murder to a civilian. It could definitely happen. One thing I can commemorate Pixar for though, is that it's great that from a young age they were making alcoholism look bad. Because if I'm seeing that as a kid, then I know for sure I don't want to be drinking when I get older. And look, here's the thing, just a quick thought, you know, food for thought. If this is you, when you have alcohol, maybe stop. Just a thought though. Just maybe. But that's my thought. Let's get on to the next one, that is none other than psych wave. Before I even say anything, maybe you can tell me the problem with psych wave.
So in high school, that's when I realized I had the ability to possess other people, to send psychic waves to other people to get them to do things that I really wanted them to do. I had a crush on the quarterback of the football team, who was also my best friend's boyfriend. I psych-waved him into asking me to the homecoming dance and breaking up with Shelley. And the more I practiced it, the shorter amount of time it took. You know, I could just sort of look at someone or look at a picture or see them passing by and think this thought or this action or whatever, and it would just happen. Never really used it to harm people, except for all those girls I made the guys break up with because I wanted to date them. Kind of freaky, actually.
Like, after listening to that interview, how can you not be a little bit shocked or surprised? You're telling me, after she learned that she had psychic wave abilities to control people's minds and get them to do what she wanted, she forced her best friend's boyfriend to break up with her best friend just so that the boyfriend could ask her out. This is all whilst her using her psychic ability to force the boyfriend to do this of her best friend. And she literally mentions that she's done this multiple times. And she doesn't even sound like the slightest bit ashamed of it. Like, she genuinely is taking full accountability for it. Heck, the fact that she's even talking about it is crazy to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is something that apparently seems so casual to her. And I honestly can't be surprised, because like, again, she's done it so many times. It's kind of disgraceful. Like, I don't know. It's just, once again, this is a quote-unquote superhero. This is supposed to be one of the good guys. This is supposed to be someone who is there to protect. But even after all of this being said, the last superhero, and if you're anyone who knows anything about the NSA files and knows anything like deep lore-wise in terms of the Incredibles, the same way how I had to go do myself, you probably already know who I saved last. And of course I did. I had to save the guy for last. Because this guy is like Homelander before Homelander. Okay, this guy is the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop. This guy, when it comes to being a bad superhero, look no further than to this guy. Of course, I'm talking about Gamma Jack. Last but not least, we knew, Lex again, it's Gamma Jack. And like, okay, from his file, it might not actually start off looking that bad. But Lex again, look, as we've done other times, let's just play the interview.
There's always going to be a lot of collateral damage. There's lots of villains, and there's lots of villainous deeds going on at any given time. Part of my job is to prioritize which villains I'm going to combat, you know. So, I take a look around, I see if there's any good-looking women who need to be rescued immediately, and then I sort of start from there and work my way down the list. You know, if you've got Tubby Joe Schmo over there with a laser pointed at his head, and he might have to wait in line a little while. Yeah, I've fought my fair share of villains, and they all have their own unique challenges. You know, they got their zombie monkeys and their giant laser robots and their super aquatic ninja pygmies. But I tell you, once in a while, the real kicker is I get these dames, man, these dame villains, and they got the curves and the hair and the big eyes, and boy, those ones, they're really, really hard to kill. Especially the ones that they come up and, and they're looking at you and you're looking at them and you feel that simpatico, like she's digging you and you're digging her, digging you, and boy, you really got to take a jog around the block real quick and, sort of get your concentration back, compose yourself, because, you can't get distracted by these sort of thoughts when you're going up against a super villain. That's one of the hard parts of the jobs, when you come across a dame who's really something to look at, and you just got to let her have it because she's a villain. Yeah, those are the bad days.
I don't even know where to start with this brother. Like, really and truly, I actually don't know where to start with this brother. Let's start off with the fact that his profile says that he has Class A monitoring by the NSA. Now, remember Blazing Stone, the first person I mentioned? She only has to be closely monitored. We're getting to the point he got given a letter of monitoring he needs to be getting. And if we're talking about the fact that he now has a letter of monitoring that he has to receive, he's probably pretty effing bad. And like, is being watched closely. Also, in his profile, it literally mentions that he believes that the superheroes are superior beings. I could tell you how scary that is, but I feel like if you're anyone who's watched something like The Boys, you probably already understand how scary of a mindset that is, especially for someone who's supposed to quote unquote save you. Having this mindset of the superheroes being a superior race and a superior being is like, who's his brother think he is? Escanor? What the heck? But like, even then, let's look a bit more deeper into it, because as he mentions in this interview, he will prioritize saving a 10-10 woman even if you're in a more dire situation. Say you're an elderly person or a guy for that sake. If the woman is attractive, he's saving her 9 times out of 10. Well, okay, I say 9 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10, he's gonna save her first, even if you're in a more dangerous situation. Mind you, this is a superhero, one that's supposed to save lives, and yet he's prioritizing attractive women over someone who's actually in more danger. And like, here's the thing, it doesn't even stop at saving people. No, it extends all the way down to his villains. He even mentions in his interview where sometimes the villains that he comes up against, he struggles to fight against them simply just because of the fact that the female villains are attractive. I know Sanji struggles to fight against women because of what he's been taught. Struggling to fight against women in a literal possible life or death situation, just because of the fact that the woman is attractive, is borderline crazy. I don't know. Like, mind you, this all comes from the fact that he can't stop fawning over the fact of how attractive like some women are. Like, this brother genuinely is like Homelander before we had Homelander. Like, this is like a literal cartoon movie version of Homelander. Like, if Gamma Jack, Homelander, and Denji were all in the same room, it would be like the Spider-Man meme of them all like pointing at each other, because they are like, okay, well, Denji is not nearly as bad, but like, if you know Chainsaw Man, you know that Denji used to only prioritize saving attractive women at one point. Like, that's just how Denji was. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, this guy is pretty effing bad. Also, I can't confirm or deny if this audio is actually like valid, and I can't confirm or deny whether this actually comes from like this is something that Pixar released at one point. But have you heard the audio for Gamma Jack before he died to one of Syndrome's robots? Let me just play it for you.
Buddy, what happened? Isn't Mr. Incredible returning your calls?
This brother, in his final breath, decided, F it, I'm a rage bait Syndrome. I'm a rage bait the very brother that is going to kill me. I don't even know what to say. The amount of cojones you need to have to rage bait the brother who is literally about to murder you, I don't know, bro. I don't know what to say. But having said that, Your Honor, here's my closing argument. I think amongst all of this, amongst the 4 bad superheroes that I mentioned, and the possible more I could have mentioned after watching the NSA files, one thing I can say with confidence is that where I see the flaws in Syndrome's plan is that some heroes lost their lives when they didn't deserve to. Okay, some of the heroes that I haven't mentioned in this video were genuinely good people, and whether they died to Syndrome's Project KRONOS, or suit malfunction, or died in the battlefield. For example, Gazer Beam. I don't think there was anything wrong about Gazer Beam within his interview or his profile. And really and truly, Mr. Incredible, you know, the very person that caused this massive domino effect, he isn't even that bad either. Like, he's a family man, he's a pretty good guy, and yet Mr. Incredible almost lost his life. Gazer Beam did lose his life. Like, these are people who genuinely were good people and yet lost their lives due to Syndrome not liking one interaction he had with another superhero when he was younger. And I get it, it hurts. He was rejected by his idol. But I just think that some superheroes sadly lost their lives to syndrome when they just didn't deserve to. And I think some were just unfortunately unable to save themselves even as they saved civilians. And that's where I see the flaw with Syndrome's plan. Though I do sort of agree with it, because some of the people, some of the heroes were bad heroes, there were also some that weren't. Some who genuinely were good people. And I think it's sad that they also became crossfire for Syndrome's plan simply because of the fact that Syndrome had a bad interaction with Mr. Incredible. Either way, this is where we're going to call it, or this is where I'm going to call it. I know I'm a bit behind on videos, but I will be catching up. Now that I've got all this sorted and this sorted, I will be catching up again. Trust me, I will get those videos out. So for the outro, and regarding the outro, I'll be honest, I would say I'll see you in about a month, but I need to upload sooner than that because it's already been so long that I need to sort of make videos to catch up for the ones that I'm late for. So realistically, I should say I'll see you in 2 weeks, but who knows? With how busy life is, I genuinely couldn't tell you. So with the outro, I will leave with saying this. Outro 1, take 1, roll 1. I will see you when I next see you.